It's so wild to me. Sometimes I don't even know what's happening. I look around and there's 50 people in here and they're all talking about their, oh, what are you vaping on? What flavor is that? There's hints of oak in there. It's like there's a whole connoisseurship to it now, which is so awesome and exactly what I was hoping for.
One, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Well, it was in my childhood days. Oh Lord, many long years ago.
Yeah, like people with wine, for instance, they'll go on and on about where did the grapes come from, what barrels was it aged in, how long was it aging for. You'll find people in vaping who go about it the exact same way. It's a matter of what you want to get out of it. It's like with any other hobby.
They sit here at the bar and talk about it for hours. And there's all new, like we just got this new flavor in called Mother's Milk by Suicide Bunny, and it sold out in like 2 hours. We sold like 60 bottles of it. And there's everything from creamy blueberry lemon to banana cinnamon nut bread to pomegranate strawberry to Jamaican rum brown sugar. And of course, for those that are just transitioning from cigarettes, they like mint and tobacco flavors more. But it's very interesting because after 2 or 3 weeks, they want something more exotic.
Our goal is to help people get off cigarettes, but we're building a business while we do that.
Nicotine is a chemical that is produced by the tobacco plant. People have discovered that when you smoke the leaves of the tobacco plant, you get that chemical in your bloodstream. And nicotine by itself is not an awful drug. As drugs go, it's not all that bad. It's the tar in the cigarettes that does so much damage.
By the end of this century, smoking will have killed more than 1 billion people worldwide. Mark Twain wrote, "It's easy to quit smoking. I've done it hundreds of times." And that's absolutely true. We don't have a lot of new things to work with. There haven't been any new medications for smoking in more than 10 or 12 years. Why not e-cigarettes? It's got the look, the feel, it has the nicotine, but the other 4,999 chemicals in cigarette smoke, most of which we don't even know, are not present. Maybe we can somehow incorporate this into a smoking cessation intervention that works.
It stands to reason that these are probably puff for puff less dangerous than regular cigarettes. That's not the same as saying that they are safe.
So if they get kids hooked on nicotine, that's a really bad thing. If they get a smoker who would have quit smoking to continue smoking, that's a bad thing. If they get a smoker who stopped smoking to go back to nicotine addiction and then smoking, that's a bad thing. And if they re-glamorize the act of smoking, that's a bad thing.
Some manufacturers have developed a new device to deliver a drug to people, and that drug is nicotine. They're out there selling it unregulated. We don't know how healthy or unhealthy these are over the long term. But the question is this: 5-10 years from now, if we were to find out that these are really, really bad for your health, and it's a multi-billion-dollar industry, and there are e-cigarette lobbyists crawling all over City Hall and state legislatures in Washington, do you think that we could take public action against them then?
There are really two kind of competing principles here. One is the precautionary principle. If in doubt, don't. So you have to be 100% certain that something's safe before you introduce it into the marketplace. And then harm reduction takes this other stance. It recognizes that drug use is going to continue and that cessation doesn't necessarily have to be your goal. That if you were to get somebody to switch from tobacco cigarettes to be a lifelong e-cigarette user, they would be far better off.
Before, it was very difficult even to get people to try it. It's a fake cigarette, a lot of people were saying then, and now people just come in and we give them the rechargeable, bigger battery option because they've seen their friends using it.
So I mean, this is what really everyone kind of really starts on, just what you call like a cigarette style. So it basically looks and feels like a cigarette. From there, people usually move up to your basic Eagle kit, your e-juice.
Like a 24 milligram is a high level of nicotine that will do the trick for them, but then we can reduce their nicotine levels over time, and then we have a no nicotine option if they choose to. It's their choice, obviously, because what you put into your body should be your choice. And of course, there's a responsibility that we have as business owners to provide the best quality of e-liquids.
So let's say when people start going down in nicotine level and they upgrade to something what you call a mod. This one right here is more for the hobbyists. There's no circuitry in there, so it basically gets all its power straight from the battery.
They rewire their own atomizers for different effects.
The way you want to do it is that you have a coil like right over here and over here, as well as you wick it yourself. So you just drip a couple drops like that. So if I fire like this.
A regular e-cig setup, it tastes all right, but you get more heat to your coils. It tastes better, you get more flavor. It's nice, it tastes like fresh pizza as opposed to pulling it out of the fridge.
They're vapors, and they evaporate their nicotine, and they go to a vaporium where they can vape.
If you look at the hashtag cloud chasing on Instagram, it's just a bunch of people with huge clouds.
Yeah, they're literally vomiting. It's cool, it's flashy, but I like to blow decently big clouds. I also like to taste, my juice, but to each their own, right? Have all the fun you want, just be safe. Unless, of course, you like to live dangerously, then, well, I can't help you there.
We don't know what's actually put in e-cigarettes. We don't have a standard for how they're manufactured or how they're produced. And since there's no federal oversight right now, we're really concerned about it, and we felt like until we know more, we should at least be preventative and proactive. Late last year, the New York City Council passed a policy that would expand the Smoke-Free Air Act to include e-cigarettes. So therefore, wherever you can't smoke a traditional cigarette, you now will not be able to smoke or use an e-cigarette.
Problem with that position is that e-cigarettes are not cigarettes. So the idea of treating e-cigarettes as cigarettes, that's a false premise.
So now basically vapors need to go where smokers go to get their nicotine.
Whatever happens in New York usually ripples across the country.
Except, of course, for vape shops. It was written in the bill that we're allowed to sell and use electronic cigarettes here. And most people are like, well, Talia, that's amazing for your business. It's going to drive more business to you. But for me, it's more about public perception.
I wasn't around in the 20s, but I've seen films and read, and it reminded me like it was a speakeasy, that people were engaged in activity that they thought was cool, that they thought was okay, that was beneficial for them, but that the powers be and the government were saying, no, no, no.
This is like a piece of resistance in a way. You're resisting like big tobacco corporations right now. This is a Nintendo mod. This guy in his basement basically rewired it to make it an e-cig. It took like 4 months on a waiting list to get for the shop. That's what makes this industry cool. It was started by individuals who quit smoking and wanted to get it out to the world. Now that's changing a bit, and big tobacco's getting involved. I mean, it's been quite interesting because when we started the company, I spoke to some big tobacco execs, and they were basically making fun of electronic cigarettes, and they thought it was a fad and it was going to pass. And, I just kept saying, this is the future of smoking.
For big tobacco, buying e-cigarette companies is like a hedge fund, right? Even though in the beginning they were terribly frightened of e-cigarettes, now they're saying, oh God, we have lots of money anyway, let's buy some of these companies either to shut them down or to try to make money by selling this product so that we don't get caught out with fields of tobacco that we can't sell.
Come on, guys. Rise from the ashes.
Blue was owned by this guy named Jason Healy, who started the business 4 years ago. So he found this great product, an electronic cigarette, and started creating affiliate banners on porn websites. It was the perfect demographic, 18 to 40-year-old males.
Hi, I'm Jason Healy from Blue, and I'm proud to announce the launch of our new Blue Premium Smart Pack.
And then about a year and a half ago, he sold it to Lorillard, you know, who owns Newport, Big Tobacco.
Well, e-cigarettes is definitely a global story. I'm estimating it's around a $3.5 to $4 billion industry today. The U.S. accounts for about half of that business, but virtually all of the large tobacco manufacturers, including Philip Morris International, are looking to e-cigarettes as basically the growth platform of the future.
It's just exploded, and it's the Wild West out there. The e-cigarette manufacturers do whatever they want to do. They sell them in bodegas. In most of the United States, they can sell them to anyone at any age.
As long as there's a minor ban in place, which there is now in New York, we can't help if kids are going to start using these. We can help. In our store, we card everybody that looks under 30.
They can advertise them on television.
Friends don't let friends smoke. Give them the only electronic cigarette worth switching to. The Enjoy King. Cigarettes, you've met your match.
All the sorts of things that you can't do with cigarettes.
C-A-N-D-L, yes. I still remember the jingles from my youth of the tobacco companies. It's frighteningly enough, you know. Cigarettes remain attractive to most people at a deep subconscious level. Why? Because of movies, film, television.
How about a good night cigarette, Ricky?
Thank you, Lucy. Nothing but the best, huh?
Natch, nothing but Philip Morris.
And so much of the fight around smoking has been the fight around the images of smoking, because those images are so powerful in how people behave. E-cigarette manufacturers say that these are something which is going to be used to help smokers quit, but that's not the way they're marketing them.
The FDA warns consumers have no way of knowing whether they're safe.
The marketing is way out ahead of where the science is.
They put them in flavors like strawberry and pina colada. They have sexy actresses that are using them on television during the Golden Globes. And then Enjoy paid hunky young men, naked except for some red gym shorts, to pass out free samples of these. That's not how you market e-cigarettes to smokers to help them quit. That's how you market them to teenage girls.
Clearly, there has to be some scrutiny of this. Big Tobacco has avoided scrutiny, and that's a concern. I don't trust them at all. Nobody trusts them. Nobody should trust them. Their profit motive is their only motive.
Think about this. Do you really believe that R.J. Reynolds and Philip Morris and Lorillard want to help smokers quit?
You know, whatever side of the e-cigarette debate people are on, there is agreement that there needs to be some form of regulation. But even though there are things we don't know, what we do know is that smoking kills half of all of its long-term users, tobacco smoking. So it becomes a question of weighing this against what the known risks are. And I think the known risks far overshadow the unknown risks at this point.
There are arguments that have been made over 100 years that, well, we should just go ahead and plunge in and start using this new product. It's going to save an awful lot of lives. We don't need to do the studies. We don't have time to do the studies. And that's always a mistake. Let's remember that no one knows at this point what the health effects are of sucking in this stuff into your lungs every day for hours a day for 20 years.
But a world filled with people vaping is not the same as a world filled with people smoking.
We're just at the beginning of testing. And I think the next 5 years of medical research, because things move very quickly today, will allow us to answer those questions. And once we answer those questions, we'll know, is this harmful? Is this as harmful as smoking tobacco?
It's like I had a handle on it a year ago because it was pretty unheard of then, and there wasn't this culture, and now this culture has popped up, and I just step back and I'm watching it all unfold around me.
Well, it was
you know, I put effort forth, and I put my intention is good, and I really want to help people, but I don't know where this is going to be 5 years from now. I do know that I'll be highly involved and probably entrenched in it, but I don't have control of where it's going to go.
in that little room of that one church house.